Welcome everybody to MindHyv Marketing's podcast. We're glad to have everybody here today, and we're excited for the topics that we're going to be covering. I'm Drew. I'm the CEO of MindHyv Marketing, and with me I've got Chad.
Hey, I'm excited to be here, Drew. Today's topic is essential for any business looking to scale in the modern market. We'll be diving into some actionable strategies that can really drive sustainable growth for clients.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think this is a lot of clients that we've got ask questions like, where should we start? I think that this episode is going to be great because we get to kind of go over some of these things at a little bit of a higher level. And then perhaps later on, we can dive a little deeper in some of the follow-on podcasts. So I'm excited. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about marketing strategy and creating a winning marketing strategy. So Chad, what exactly is a marketing strategy?
I think it's the overall view, when you're that helicopter view of your business, to make it successful, to gain clients, to gain customers, and to make sure that your name's getting out there in your local community. Statistics show that companies with a documented marketing strategy are 313% more likely to report success compared to those that don't have a clear strategy. So, you got to have that guiding map to show you how to get to that success instead of just going, hey, I love this business. I love doing this part of the business. But if you don't have that overall strategy, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen businesses start up and just not take into consideration the marketing that has to go into whatever it is that they're doing. I've seen everything from tattoo shops to tile companies to all sorts of companies out there that they start with a dream, and the dream is awesome. Like, they've got a great product, they've got a great service, but the marketing aspect behind that is lacking. And so then they come and they talk to us, they talk to you or I, and it comes down to, well, I'm not making any money or feel like I'm losing clients. Why is that? Or maybe I'm not getting the clients that I need, or things have slowed down. Marketing is like the number one thing that you can do to get your business up and running. It's one of the key components. So I think when you start a business, for all of those folks out there watching, and if you're thinking about starting something up, when you're doing your business plan, you have got to make sure that this strategy is nailed down, that you understand where you're going and what needs to be done. So Chad, what are some of the things that a business that's either starting off or is going needs to take in consideration for their marketing strategy?
It's really important. You think even when we started our own marketing agency, that was one of the biggest things we had to think about to get clients, to get the clients that we've had, to get the growth we've had, is to how do we market ourselves? How do we become, what is the need of our clients so we can fill that need? And, things like that, and then as you go in, you're going to go from that point to the importance of identifying your target audience. I think this is one of the biggest things. It's like, we know for a tile shop, they need somebody that needs renovations, but it goes so much deeper than that. Are we looking at homeowners? Are we looking at commercial renovation? All these different points, we have to build that. And that's what I love about MindHyv Marketing. With us, when you have that meeting with us, we build that customer avatar with you, because a lot of times you haven't thought about that. We want to take the time to hold your hand through the process, and we build that customer avatar. So it is going to be successful if you run ads, or it's going to be successful on Google Ads. And then as we go through the various steps, we're there to handhold you through the analytics part. There's a very, very big importance of just crafting your buyer personas that go along with that. And, just getting that client feedback of who do they get in the door? What sales work? What is that desire to get that client in, and how do you get them in?
Yeah, no, I think it's important for companies that are starting off to take the time to understand what their service is actually doing for a client, right? What is the value that they're bringing? This is going to help you identify your target audience. Like you were saying, crafting those personas in terms of who your audience is. And what kind of characteristics do they have both online and in person, right? This is going to help you understand what your target audience is like. But then I think the next big step is really understanding what the customer journey looks like. So
Mhm.
we could have the greatest service in the world, but if the customer journey is lacking in some area, then it's going to be very hard to get a client to go from interested to purchasing and then to staying as a loyal customer, right? So that's that customer journey that you have to identify. And I think when you sit down to think about how you're going to build that out for like an online presence, that it's going to be illuminating in terms of what you have to do, right? So if you're doing sales of some sort of a product, like how are you going to get those customers from maybe a Google ad onto your site and into the cart and purchasing? That's the customer journey. What's the pathway that they are following to get to your service or product, right? And then I think the next piece of that is you have to set clear and measurable goals for yourself, especially in the marketing area, right? And these have to be something that are both realistic and adventurous at the same time. I think that a lot of folks they set up these wildly crazy goals, or maybe there's a fantasy in their head of how awesome their product could be if I could just get it out. Well, that's great, and hopefully you can get there. And I think when we step in, that's a step that gets you there, right? When you first take the step off into the starting a business or starting your marketing, it's important to have realistic expectations and very clear and measurable goals to do that. I would say that in the industry, we call them KPIs, key performance indicators, right? And so 73% of companies that set KPIs see improved marketing performance over the short and the long term. And so, Chad, like, have you noticed how SMBs with well-defined strategies see like a 20 to 30% increase in revenue annually? And is that something you see with the clients now that we work with?
Yeah, I definitely do. And when you say KPIs and stuff, sometimes that worries our clients. It kind of scares them because analytics can be kind of scary sometimes to go over it because you don't understand the data at all times. And that's what I really like about how we have set up MindHyv Marketing is you have a project manager, a client relations specialist that works with you bi-weekly or monthly, and they go over these different KPIs to make sure we're hitting those goals that you want to hit. Just like you said, you got to have those clear goals to be able to hit that 20 to 30% increase. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to get to $200,000 a month in revenue without the steps to get there. I mean, dreams are great, but if we don't have the rungs of the ladder to climb up in those analytics, we're just not going to be able to do it. So that's one thing I love about our strategy is, we work with the client. We're not just going to set it and forget it and hope the client is successful. No, we're going to meet with them over and over and over again. And we're going to go through these and we're going to make sure that we're hitting those goals for them.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we've seen, and you were talking about crafting buyer personas and identifying target audience just a minute ago, right? So one of the things that we've seen and definitely is backed up by market studies is that it's important to build those personas and tie them to your KPIs in a manner. And what we've seen, and again, what research has shown is that there's like a 760% increase just in revenue from emails, just to that. So, and that's not taking into account all of the other things that you can do within a marketing strategy. So this is the first step, right? It's building your roadmap, your strategy roadmap for marketing your product or service, and documenting that down, identifying who your audience is going to be, building out those KPIs so that you know what your goals are and whether or not you're actually hitting them, and then segmenting those so that you are marketing to the appropriate audiences with the appropriate content, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And you talked about email marketing and how that brings in 760% increase in revenue. That's huge, but it's also huge if you do not have the proper CRM. With a client relations management system like ours, you're able to send out emails or text messages, Facebook messages, all from one platform, being able to make sure you're engaged and you're keeping your clients and customers engaged. So their return clients, and then you're able to use those clients over and over again. And not just that lifetime revenue of a client just goes through the roof because you're just being able to mold that relationship and have them in the door again and again.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you right now, like I've been an entrepreneur for a while and I've had several businesses. And what the number one issue, I would say one of the major issues, was that the things that I was using to communicate and engage with my both my company internally and with my clients, those applications and the email accounts and chats and whatever I was using, they were everywhere, and it becomes extremely disorganized. And then what happens is it eats up your time, right? And so you're right, having a CRM where you can consolidate all of those things into one platform is fantastic. And I'll be honest with you, I love our platform. Our platform that we have, the MindHyv Marketing CRM, is fantastic and does all of this stuff for you. And I like the fact that you're saying there's metrics and analytics, and it gives you this holistic 360-degree view of where you are at with your clients, right? Or
yeah, that dashboard, when our devs put that dashboard together, and it has that rotating chart, and it shows you people that are going through your pipeline to become clients. I love that as being, on the project management side of MindHyv Marketing and being able to work with clients, being able to show them those analytics, it really does set those clear and measurable goals and how we're getting there to them.
If I had this platform for my other businesses, I'd be in a much better position than I was, for sure.
Well, maybe it's good that you didn't have them, because that's what drove you to build this company and to make other people successful. So, if you would have had it then, maybe MindHyv Marketing wouldn't be where we're at today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think we started off with building out your strategy, right? Having that roadmap. Okay, so what's the next step?
Yeah. So, now it comes down to execution. You got to pick those right tactics, and, having those key tactics are, so, impeccable to being able to scale your business. Some companies focus on digital while others blend traditional and digital approaches. And, I really like the blend, because you get a little bit of everything, from SEO to ad management to, when you have that proper CRM and you're nurturing that relationship, now you have word of mouth. One of the biggest things when MindHyv Marketing first started was that word of mouth, because of nurturing those client relationships. So I think that blend is really integral to being successful.
Yeah. And, there's different ways to do this, right? There's different ways to scale your business. And I think, again, it comes back down to KPIs and what you've established as your roadmap and your strategy. That's going to drive how you actually do the marketing. The question is, do you understand the way in which to drive your marketing properly based off of the strategy that you have created? That's the cincher, right? So when it comes to that, you've got to look at how you're going to do it. So it's like, are you going to do content marketing? Are you going to do paid advertisement? Are we looking at SEO management? Do we do social media or influencer marketing? Or is there an omni-channel marketing that helps out with this in some way, right? And so let's kind of run down those real fast. Like content marketing, what do you see with that? I know when I started my other businesses, I struggled with this immensely, because what you're about to tell me here is exactly the problems that I went through. And tell me what this is about.
Yeah. So when you leverage that content, you want to make sure you are hitting, when you're doing your blogs, you want to have those keywords that have to do with your business. We keep talking about, tile and renovation. So you want to be hitting those different renovation keywords. And that's what our team does. I love that MindHyv Marketing has, a team of over 20 people where we have SEO specialists, blog specialists, Google specialists. It really does help you have a whole team behind you that can just push you behind your back and really help you be successful. Because a lot of these things, people don't like to do those when they first get into business, or even if they've been into business for a long time. Blogs can be very tedious. And if they're done wrong, they can be detrimental to your website. So you really want to be able to have a team like ours that knows what they're doing to be able to get you the results you need as we're writing out those blogs. That ties into the SEO strategy. And that SEO strategy, unfortunately, there's marketing agencies out there that are buying clicks and buying views. And if you get your domain penalized, it could be detrimental and you have to start from scratch. We've had so many clients come to us where we've had to rebuild their website on a new domain because a previous marketer did not do it correctly. They were trying to do it the easy way. They were trying to do it the fast way. And that unfortunately got them a bad rating with Google and nobody would visit their site. There was no way to fix it. So you have to do this correctly the first time.
Yeah. And I think what you're talking about here is that content marketing, right? Which is your blogs, your podcasts, the videos, TikTok, the shorts, things like that. And these can be daunting. I know for us starting this podcast up, like there's some things we had to do to accomplish this, right? And there's a right and a wrong way to do it. And I think that when it comes to an individual trying to accomplish those things, when you are the owner of a business, and especially if you're just starting out, like doing all of this is extremely time consuming. I mean, when it comes down to editing your blogs, adding in your backlinks, then if you're doing podcasts, editing your podcast video, recording the podcast, those types of things all take a lot of time. And the issue is that, again, like you were saying, if you don't do the SEO properly on your site, if you don't do the editing properly, you're going to lose a lot. So I think when it comes to having a team in your back pocket, like MindHyv Marketing, it's extremely beneficial to you, because I can sit here with you and have this podcast, and then the team that you have with MindHyv Marketing can go ahead and edit these things and get them out, and saves you a lot of time. And then when it comes to your blogs, that's a huge SEO thing, right? When it comes to the keywords, appropriately researching your keywords, making sure that Google's indexing appropriately and bringing you up that ranking for those keywords. So yeah, I think that having a team from MindHyv Marketing that knows what's going on is extremely beneficial. So let's move past that, because that's kind of like the organic traffic kind of stuff, right? Where we're generating content, we're doing SEO, driving people to our site to try to go ahead and get them to begin that customer journey, right, within our online presence. Now let's talk about a little bit about paid advertising, because this is the one I think people kind of shy away from it, because marketing is expensive. Let's just be honest there, right?
Yep.
Marketing is expensive, right? Now, statistically speaking, 70% of marketers are actively investing in content marketing, right? So we're talking blogs and SEO. So when it comes to paid advertising, what's the strategy there? Why is paid advertising important? If we're talking Google ads, for example, why is that so crucial and critical for a business to get right, and how do they do this right?
Yeah. Well, I'll actually give you a great example. Is one of our clients, they were doing Google ads. They were spending, I want to say it was $1,000 to $1,500 a month on Google ads before they came to us. Our ad specialist looked at it and was like, you are not in the niche to be doing Google ads. You need to be doing Facebook ads. And right now he is spending $1,000 less a month and getting like a 2 to 250% ROAS, so return on ad spend. So he's spending $500, and I think he's doing $500 a month in ad spend right now, but he's making almost $10,000 a month from those ads. And that's where we come in. We have that team to be able to talk to our ad specialists and say, should you be on Google? Should you be on Facebook? And just seeing that flip around and see that customer come back. I actually just saw a message they sent to our ad specialist the other day that talked about, hey, I am so thankful that you were able to help me because of the growth that they have seen. They were putting everything on a credit card, just trying to live and get by. And now they are able to actually see substantial profits month to month, and their business is growing and flourishing. And that's what we're there for.
Yeah, that's amazing. It is crazy to me. So when we're talking ad strategy versus SEO strategy, what does that look like? Because I know that a lot of folks are saying, well, listen, I want my organic traffic to be fantastic. And I think organic traffic's the way to go. Explain a little bit about that, because the way that MindHyv Marketing, the way we approach it's a little bit different based off of the scenarios, obviously. But let's assume that a business is starting up. What would be your recommendation for them to go ahead and start this? Would you go SEO? Would you go ads? How would you do this?
Yeah. So what we're trying to do at MindHyv Marketing is we're trying to, per se, work ourselves out of a job. We're going to start out Because if you haven't been doing SEO, it is a long burn. It's going to take 4 to 6 months before you even start seeing results. So we got to start that. And what we do is we supplement that with ad spend. At the beginning, you're going to be paying 60 to 70% of your budget into ad spend, and that 20 to 30% is going to be going to your SEO. And as we build over the months, in 4 to 5 months, we're hoping to be at 50% ad spend and 50% on that SEO. And we're going to slowly tip that scale to where you're starting to get that organic traffic and you're able to cut that budget back. Or if something happens and you don't want to spend that money on ads, you still have SEO to rely on. That's the good thing about SEO is once you put that year to 15 months into it, you're going to just continue to see those dividends. Of course, you still have to do your blogs. You have to keep up with that SEO strategy, but you're able to really cut back on that ad spend because you're bringing in that local market through that SEO work that you've done over the year.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that we saw with a lot of our clients was that when we shifted them from an SEO focus, what I mean by that is primarily spending their marketing dollars on SEO and kind of shift it back over to ads with a little bit going into SEO. What we found was that they were able to build their brand quicker, right? They were able to establish better sales through their customer journey and get folks into the pipeline easier, which enabled them to scale their business quicker. And that's one of the key things that the ads do for you. And like you were saying, it's really important to understand which ad space you should be in. Google, Facebook, are you in TikTok? Where are you at? Like, where are you spending money? And that's going to be totally based on your niche. And I think that when we engage with a customer who's looking to go on this marketing journey, this is one of the things that MindHyv Marketing is great about. I think what we pride ourselves on is, like you've said it multiple times, we work with the customer on establishing the right method for their marketing. And I think when it comes to, I'm not going to speak poorly about any other marketing agency, but what I would say is that if you are with a company that is just sending you statistics and they are not coming up behind those statistics and engaging with you on strategy and consultation, then you should reconsider what's going on here, right? Because one of the things that you need to understand is, what does all of this mean? And that's what our company really does take pride in doing, right? We take those metrics, we take those analytics. When you get your reports from us, like you said, we have a dedicated project manager for each one of our clients. And so when that project manager comes, they're also trained. Chad, you're our expert in this. You go to the client and say, hey, based off of what we're seeing, we recommend you go this way. And based off of what we've seen in the past, this is what you should expect.
Yep, that's exactly it. And that kind of that morphs into the are we building we're trying to build that long-term trust, and we're not just, you want to be branding versus just marketing. You want to be eventually that Nike that doesn't have to put out an ad because everybody's wearing their shoes and they see it and they're like, oh, I want that shoe because it's Nike. They don't ask questions anymore. So that's what this ad, and tying this back to when we first started that customer journey, it's, getting the awareness out first. When we use those Google and Facebook ads, we build that awareness. It takes somebody 7 to 10 times to maybe see about your brand before they're going to buy from you. So we've got to build that awareness. We got to build that trust. So we build a brand out of your business. And that's what we're there for, is to make sure that, you have that brand that's going to be long-term successful and not just a one-hit wonder overnight because you had one ad that did well.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think you touched on a really key point there. There's a difference between branding and marketing, right? Branding is how customers and clients and the world views your company, right? Whereas marketing is you pushing that view out so that people know who you are. So when it comes to marketing, it's us helping get that image out to the world. Everybody knows, like you said, Nike and Adidas and everything just from a logo. That took time to get there, and branding takes a long time, but there's a significant amount of marketing that goes into establishing a long-term brand.
Yeah, that emotional storytelling that you do to create that connection with your client is really key. And, it's different between a health spa to a gym or, whatever your business is. It's going to be totally different. And we craft those those storytelling moments for you, I guess you would say.
Yeah. And we talked about omni-channel marketing, which I'm going to define for our listeners here. It's all omni-channel marketing is essentially taking all the different channels of marketing, channels being the way in which you are marketing, whether it be social media, whether it be through influencers, whether it be ads, whatever. It's taking all of those and combining them into an overall strategy. And so that's important because there's, from a statistical standpoint, companies that use an omni-channel strategy have like 89 to 90% retention rate for their customers that they get. The reason omni-channel, when we were talking about branding versus marketing, the reason omni-channel is so important is because branding consistently across all of your channels is key. So
Yeah.
if you're not branding properly on social media, or sorry, if you are branding differently on social media than you are in, say, your ads, then the customer experience is inconsistent. And so that causes confusion for customers, right? So consistency across your channels is extremely important, right? And when you create that consistency, it's also important that you create a differentiating factor for your brand versus others. There are 1,000 clothing brands out there, right? The ones that are successful, the ones that have differentiated themselves. And so I can name several off the top of my head. And so when you have that consistent branding, that consistency across all of your channels, again, I like statistics and numbers. So you're going to hear me talk about these types of things all the time. Across all platforms, if you have consistent branding, the increase in revenue on average for companies is around 23%.
Yeah. I mean, when you create that awareness, like you said, from platform to platform, because, everybody doesn't just use Facebook. Everybody just doesn't use Instagram. They're in and out of all of those apps. So if you have that consistent story that you're kind of telling through these social media sources, you're able to convert that client and really connect with them emotionally to where, they want to buy from you. They want to be with you. They want to be a part of your family.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think that it's an extremely important part of what we do in MindHyv Marketing is we, from an outside perspective, can address any kind of concerns that may be going on with inconsistent branding, right? So, okay,
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next segment, which is one that I think is extremely important also. I mean, all of this is very important. And this is why having a marketing team is so important, right? These are the things that we think about every single day. It's what keeps us up at night with our customers, is trying to make sure that they're successful, is customer psychology. So let's talk a little bit about that. So can you explain kind of what customer psychology is, and then just give us some examples and then maybe some strategies that might go along with how you do this in terms of marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. Understanding how your customers think can make or break your campaigns. The psychology of color and how it affects buying decisions. When we first look at your site, we're looking at those things. Is your add to cart button the right color? It sounds silly, but there's a lot of times that is the only thing that is changing a customer's mind from purchasing from your site, is because they have a orange button instead of a blue. These colors actually mean something, and they actually pull you in and they make you want to purchase from certain portions of your website. So we go into all of that, and how social proof and the power of testimonials. Sometimes people don't have it on their website. If you don't have testimonials on your website, you're really hindering yourself, because that's just that social proof. A lot of times before somebody buys from us, they just want to see that the guy across the street used you, or the guy down the street really enjoyed going there. And on the same hand, that's another reason you want to make sure that you're excelling in everything you do, is that social proof can go both ways. It can really hurt your business if you're not doing what you need to do to get customers in, because one bad review can really tank a business. So, we want to make sure that we're going over that whole aspect of making sure your customer is comfortable when they purchase from you. And then that other thing that testimonials do, it sets in that FOMO. I love that word FOMO when it comes to marketing. I don't know how many people know what it means, but it means fear of missing out. And that's just tactics to drive urgency. How do we, instill that in your business? Are you a chiropractor? Are we giving a free consultation? Do we only have 5 of those available? How are we going to make sure that your business is getting out there and people want to come visit you and they're making that decision as quick as they can?
Yeah, FOMO is absolutely crazy when it comes to marketing, right? And product development in conjunction with FOMO is very important too. So what's really interesting about some of the examples I've seen over time with the FOMO type of marketing and actually product development, clothing companies. There's been a few clothing companies that have pulled this strategy off really well, a significant amount of money, because they develop a product that is limited in production, right? We've all seen those. This is what makes things rare. And
Mm-hmm.
when they do that and then they market it appropriately, hey, there's only 2,000 of this particular design in the world. How fast do you think those get bought up? There are so many things you can do with the FOMO strategy that really helps drive sales. It's amazing. And especially on the service side. On the services side, you can do that all day long. It's great. So I think that's a good one. So another one I want to touch on is this reciprocity and marketing, right? And that's what we mean by reciprocity is offering value before you ask for your sale, right? That's showing what you can provide before just saying, hey, buy my product. There's a way to market that reciprocity appropriately. And I think when you take a look at your product, you have to identify, again, this is part of that marketing strategy piece. You have to identify what value is it actually bringing to the customer. And then the next question is, how do I represent that in the marketing that I'm doing for this product or service? And so that then leads into our emotional versus rational appeals when it comes to advertising. So when we talk about rational versus emotional, you see it all the time. Like with marketing, when they show, especially like car commercials, right? They show these really cool, fun outdoors things going on for a customer that's purchased, SUV, right? They're not appealing to the rational aspect of purchasing that vehicle. What they're doing is they're appealing to the emotional side. Well, if you buy this car, you're going to have a ton of fun out in the mountains, climbing rocks and doing all sorts of stuff, bringing your dog, whatever it might be. That's what we have to take into consideration when we market products and services. It's
Yeah, we really want to, we want to take our customer and put them in that scenario, and that's one good thing our team is love about having such a large team is when we're about to onboard a client and I take all our notes with the client and then we go sit down with the team and we build out this strategy. We're talking about what do we need to do to make clients feel like they are a part of that family and they're a part of that business and they want to be there. Like you said, the dog that's going hiking with you. I love to hike. We're in Colorado. We love to take our dogs. So, being able to throw the dog in the back of my truck and just go up a trail and then get out and, enjoy an amazing hike. You've got me sold because you just put me in that scenario. And that's what our team is so amazing able to do.
And yeah, like you said, we've seen this firsthand, right? Campaigns that tap into the emotional needs of customers, they tend to perform I think the number was about 57% better, right?
Yep.
In terms of customer retention for their product or service. And again, that's one of those things where if you're not thinking outside the box in terms of how to market that, then your marketing could essentially, if you are doing marketing, could end up not being successful. And so I've seen it a lot too, where we've had customers who have had products that they've built themselves. We have a customer right now that has invented an amazing product, right? But because they're so close to their baby, right? To see the marketing potential and the other business potential behind that particular product, it gets kind of close-minded for them, right? And so it takes somebody like MindHyv Marketing Team to come out and say, okay, whoa, this is great. This product is fantastic, but we're really not approaching this the way we should. Let's take a look at what we could do here, here, and here. And let's start to take some of them, because we want to appeal to the emotion of the customer, but we want to take the emotion out of our own decisions. We want to have rational decisions to make for marketing that appeals to the emotion, right? That's the difference there. And so when you have a team behind you that's able to do that, and it's an outside of your own perspective, it really can change quite a bit. So we've built this strategy. We've now executed the strategy. We've looked at all the things from between SEO and ad campaigns and all the omni-channel kind of strategies that we can put in place. And we can do podcasts on this to go in depth on each of these a little bit later. When it comes to after you've executed, how do you know exactly that this is working? Like, what are we looking at? What is the key metrics we have to have, and how do we get those?
Yeah, I think this now you're getting into the portion that I really love, because this is when, our team brings me metrics and analytics, then I can actually go and schedule a meeting with our client, and we'll sit down over Zoom or Teams and be able to go over in detail how our strategy is doing. And that's the strategy we built when they first became a client, and now we're sitting there and actually being able to show them that fruit on the apple tree. We get to pluck that apple and say, you've seen the results. Now here's the analytics behind it, and where do we go from here? Do we put more money into SEO? Do we put more money into ad spend? Where do you want to go from here? Because a lot of marketers will just say, okay, let's just throw more money into that ad because it's doing well. Sometimes you get to where you're spending too much on an ad, and your cost per click, instead of going down, you start going up. So we're able to kind of guide you through this process and, kind of translate everything to you so it's palatable for you to understand.
Yeah, data truly is king. And I've seen it time and time again, and always like to kind of relate it to fishing. I like to fish. I love fishing. I'm not great at it, but I kind of like to think of marketing like fishing, right? You can go to a lake and cast in and cast in and cast in, reel back up, and whatever you're doing may not work, right? And it doesn't matter how many times you throw in, you could stay there for 5 or 6 hours and not catch a thing. Whereas if you knew, hey, if I went to this side of the lake or cast over in this spot, or if I used a different lure or different bait, then
different color even,
even, right? And going back to our discussion on color and psychology, I've seen it where people who are doing the exact same fishing in the exact same spot using slightly different lure caught significantly more fish than I did, right? And the same goes for marketing. You can throw the same thing out over and over and over again, but if you're not analyzing what's happening when you toss that marketing campaign out into the water, if you're not analyzing that data, then you're not going to understand whether or not what you're doing is effective. And so what we've seen is it's roughly 53% of companies that use data-driven marketing effectively achieve higher revenue across the board. And then on top of that, you are 600% more likely to retain your customers if you're using data to assess whether or not what you're doing is appropriate. So these are huge factors. So when it comes to what MindHyv Marketing does, what are the tools that we give our clients? Is it involved in our CRM? Like, what do we use to give our clients the data that they need to make good decisions? And then how are we using that data in order to give them better understanding of where they're at?
That's the amazing thing with the MindHyv Marketing CRM software, is it's all encompassing, being able to take metrics from how many phone calls you received, how well you did on those phone calls because it's recorded, being able to look at the messages, being able to take notes on those customers, being able to integrate AI into marketing scheme or your phone calls, and having those, 24/7 a day employees that can answer questions when you're not there. Being able to take in so many different portions and track through our software, it's amazing. We might have potential clients that they only need a CRM. That's amazing. We would love to help you with the CRM and walk you through it. You can even just do a monthly plan with our CRM and learn it yourself, or we have a plan where we can help you figure it out and we can help you get it set up for you. And then we have we go into the ad portions. We could just do ads for you, and then we can take both of these portions and kind of tie them together to where you're able to build blogs. You're able to see everything in one spot. And I just really love that about our CRM over, other places that have CRM, is just because it's a all-encompassing one place to go. You don't have to spend a bunch of different, subscriptions to different services because we have it inside of MindHyv Marketing.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, the CRM software, and I know there's a lot of them out there, but I think what's great is if you come with MindHyv Marketing CRM, you have a team behind you that if you need it, we can help you get those things up and running. We can help you analyze it. We can set up, like you said, AI, which we're not going to get into AI in this podcast, but holy cow, can it really do a lot for your company? It is amazing. So I think that's great. So we're coming to the end of the podcast here, and I just kind of want to do a quick run through of what we kind of discussed. So what marketing strategy and growth really comes down to is the planning, the executing, and then the consistently refining your strategies and the data that you have available. Would you say that's a pretty well worded way of saying like this is kind of the holistic approach you should be taking for marketing?
Yeah, Drew, I think that is exactly the, holistic view. And if I'm being a little biased towards MindHyv Marketing, I think that's why you should come with us and, let us help you be successful. Just check out our webpage and book one of those consultations. All our consultations are free, and we're able to, analyze your business with you, whether you become a client of ours or not. So, I mean, it's a win-win scenario. We get to make a friendship with you and kind of do some coaching, and then you get to see where your business can go if you took on these strategies.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you listening, if you do want to book a consultation with Chad, you can go to www.mindhyvmarketing.com and click the Get Started button, and you'll be put in with Chad there to get a consultation going. And that's completely free. That's just to start everything off, to get an idea of where your company is, what you're looking for. And we will put together, Chad and his team will put together a completely custom package or strategy so that you can grow your business with appropriate marketing. So I'm really glad we were able to do this, Chad. Looking forward to the next one. And just want to say thanks to everybody for listening. And we will see you on the next podcast here with MindHyv Marketing.
Thanks, Drew.